we are empowering ourselves right now. So when I call and you respond, you empower me. And when I call, I empower you. And you know what, like I said, we are not here alone. Our sisters are here. No, we don't see them. You know, so let's go through a little bit of that. Hey, 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 so baja. Hey, hey, so baja. Hey, hey, so baja. Hey, hey, so baja. Akule mi vako so baja. All right, okay, all right. Just stay with the hey, 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 so baja. And all that he's saying is, hey, look, everybody coming up. Look at the thunder and lightning. Look at what is happening out there. You know, there is something that is bigger than us, always. But we tend to forget about that. When I went to the NASA station and I saw the eye of whatever they call it, he's talking about a nebulous. We are not just on Earth. It's a universe, ladies and gentlemen. There's something that is way beyond what we see and what we touch. So let's try to kind of begin to see that, because that helps us, that helps our journey. So, hey, 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 so baja. Hey, hey, so baja. Hey, 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 so baja. Hey, hey, so baja. Akule mi vako so baja. Hey, hey, so baja. Akule mi vako so baja. Hey, hey, yo, 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 yo.
talk like this.
Move it in front of you. There you go.
Okay. Now I'm going to say Habarigani, which means what's the news. You're going to say Kuji Chagalia. Okay? If you look on the back, you get a pronunciation. Look at the back of your program. It's the second principle of Kwanzaa. So when I say Habarigani, you're going to say Kuji Chagolia. Okay, I'm doing it 3 times. Habarigani.
Kuji Chagalia.
Habarigani.
Kuji Chagalia.
Habarigani.
Kuji Chagalia.
Louder.
Kuji Chagalia.
Okay, you just spoke Swahili. Just so you know. So welcome. Welcome to Kwanzaa. This is how many years? About 15 years that we've been doing Kwanzaa here at Slater with the Community Universalist. Let me get the name right.
Unitarian Universalist.
Unitarian Universalist Congregation at White Plains.
Okay, there we go. We got it all straight. And if you missed it, it's here on the program. Okay? So welcome, welcome, welcome one and all. My name is Heather Miller, and I'm so happy to see everybody here at our Kwanzaa Celebration. Let me introduce now our MC extraordinaire. She is employed at the Family Services of Westchester Head Start program at Rochambeau. Everybody knows where Rochambeau is. And she is a head teacher. She resides in Mount Vernon and is a student at the College of New Rochelle. She's a minister at Straight Gate Church in Mamaroneck. And if that wasn't enough, she is a stand-up comic. Who better to serve as an MC? So let's welcome Miss Tiffany Thrower.
That wasn't good enough. You're gonna have to give me a little bit more than that. And a drum roll, I appreciate that. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Kwanzaa. I'm wearing glasses this year. I wasn't wearing them last year. Seems like I'm legit getting older. So, can I take this off? It's causing me some restrictions. That's better. How's everybody doing this afternoon? I'm not even worried about it. I'm not even worried about it. I'm glad to be here. It's always a pleasure. This is my second year helping you all out this year, and it's always great for me because it's a tap into our culture. It's a nod to our culture, to our heritage, and to those of you who are not African American. We thank you for partaking in this particular area in our heritage. Well, enough with all that. Let's get this party started, shall we? Shall we? Habarigani.
Kuji Chagalia.
Really? Did Miss Heather just go through all of this for y'all not to know what to say next? Let's try this again. Habarigani.
Kuji Chagalia.
Habarigani.
Kuji Chagalia.
I don't know how you say let's get going in Swahili, but let's get going. At this point, we're going to start with the lighting of the Kinara, and we'd like to have the step-up girls and boys come at this time. Let's give them a hand. That'll
Nguzo Saba, 7 principles of Kwanzaa.
Umoja. Unity stresses the importance of togetherness for the family and the community, which is reflected in the African saying, I am we, or I am because we are.
Chagulia. Self-determination requires that we define our common interests and make decisions that are in the best interest of our family and community.
Ujima. Collective work and responsibility reminds us of our obligation to the past, present, and future, and that we have a role to play in the community, society, and world.
Ojama. Cooperative economics emphasize our collective economic strength and encourages us to meet common needs through mutual support.
Nia. Purpose encourages us to look within ourselves and to set personal goals that are beneficial to the community.
Kumba. Creativity makes use of our creative energies to build and maintain a strong and vibrant community.
Imani. Faith focuses on honoring the best of our traditions, draws upon the best in ourselves, and helps us strive for a higher level of life for humankind by affirming our self-worth and confidence in our ability to succeed and triumph in righteous struggle.
Okay, and that's Nguzo Saba. Okay, so hopefully every one of you will think about these 7 principles and try to live them every day, not just for Kwanzaa, but every day. Thanks to the 7 girls and next generation.
As you noticed in the back of your programs, as Ms. Heather had pointed out, is Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles. And she mentioned, and I don't know if you could hear her, that it's something that we really should pattern our life by every single day. And I think a lot of times we take some of these things so for granted. So I would encourage you as the days of Kwanzaa go by, just to absorb these and not just make it something that happens once a year. Self-determination is not something that you just recognize once a year. You should always be determined. You should always be willing to press. It's very interesting, and I'm going to take a moment to just say this. I am going back to school, and one thing about going back to school as an adult, you have to have a level of self-determination. And there are times when you feel like throwing your hands up and saying, I'm done with this, bills get in the way, family, life happens, but then there's this self-determination that pushes you. And I even have my email that reminds me, it says finish strong. And that's what you gotta do, that's self-determination, that's the ability to finish strong. So I encourage you to finish, whatever you're doing, finish and finish strong. Yes? Awesome. Awesome, so let's keep going here. And the next thing we're gonna do is very important. It is the offering of libations to our ancestors at this time, and we'll do that with Kofi Duncan.
Thank you so much. This is very important because I saw this on a daily basis, very special time. So a lot of times when you're doing this, you really have to even remove your shoes and have a direct contact with the earth so that you can feel, the earth directly. There's so many things that separates us on the spiritual level, and therefore we struggle. And we have to always revisit that and let go. And let, the Great Spirit. So when I call Cha Cha Maniaba, your response will be Ayao. Cha Cha Maniaba is just mainly recognizing the elders. It's a prayer. You know, I tell people it's a very simple prayer of really recognizing the ancestors and also recognizing just where we are in nature. We are just a very little part of all this, but we are a great force. That's why we are who we are. So why don't we just stand up as an honor to the ancestors? And this year I'm going to try to make it a little simple by mentioning or redirecting you as to, you know, your family, ancestors in your family, and then we can mention a lot, and then I would pour the libation, and then we'll go on to other social figures, people who have influenced us, you know, on our journey, and then where we are going. So I will start in the native language. Cha cha maniamba.
Ayao.
And hey yawada. Asasia. Yadawase. You are here. Naninyami. Shadiampo. Ye stress. Yananan mo maka. Omo abekam na bebahano abedie. Cha cha maniamba.
Ayao.
Just a little explanation of that. I just sort of called onto the ancestors and asked for direction. So we are calling onto people in our families who have influence. It could be a grandmother, grandfather. So why don't we mention a couple of them? In my family, my grandfather, Nana Doko and Nana Budu. And then my grandmother, who was Nana Bisia, I call on to them. Cha cha maniaba.
Ayao.
So why don't we call anybody?
My mother, Peter Wilson.
Good. Let's keep it up.
Annie Daniel. My father, John Green.
My grandmother, Lorraine Magdaleno.
John Lillian Boulevard. My mother, Christine Green. My mother, Irene Hadley.
Grandmother's Carolyn Chawangima.
Good. Cha cha maniaba.
Ayao.
We also want to call upon those who have influenced us where we live in our communities. Anybody?
Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou.
Chelsea Harry. Olivia Booker. Keith Perry. Jake Jones.
Mitch Rollins.
Nelson Mandela.
Ron Jones.
Kwame Nkrumah. Hey Selassie. Cha cha maniaba.
Ayao.
Now we want to look at things in nature, things that really had induced us and opened us up, that really brings us closure to a lot of the things that we experience on a daily basis. Anything that influences you.
Soil is sacred.
The pattern of life around us.
The ocean ever flowing.
The waterfalls.
Sunshine.
Grandmother Earth.
The nuts in the trees.
The sun.
Just the smell of the earth before the rain. And just the love of people. Cha cha maniaba.
Ayao.
Nananamo yadamase. We thank you. We honor you. We lift you up. And we know you are here with us. We know you are going to carry us through from where we are today to greater heights. We pray for the children. We ask you to touch them, protect them. Everything that is going to be a danger, paralyze them. Refresh them with love. Refresh them with hope. Refresh them with strength. Refresh them with that self-determination that they can move and be able to stand against evil and things that are not right to one another and to the earth. Cha cha maniaba.
Ayao.
Cha cha maniaba.
Ayao.
Cha cha maniaba.
Ayao.
Ashe. Thank you.
Ashe.
At this time, we're going to move into it's actually one of the parts I kind of really enjoy a lot. It's the drumming and the dancing portion of this event. And I like the drumming portion. I don't do the dancing part too much, although I enjoy watching it. I'm not a great participant for a lot of reasons. I know as you're looking at me, you say, wow, she's African American, and the automatic assumption is that she has rhythm. I have none. And it's all right. I enjoy. You know what? Y'all looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, how is that humanly possible? Don't worry about it. I don't clap on the 1 and the 3 or the 2 and the 4. I don't know how to clap, honestly, but it's all right. I would like for you to participate and enjoy this portion. Also, dancing requires cardio, and I'm not a big fan of cardio. Now, see, that's the truth. See, she's over there. God bless you, baby. Because see, she's doing a bunch of bending and flipping. She was doing all that stuff earlier. Give her a hand. Wonderful. I'm gonna watch you do it, though. I'm gonna watch you do it, all right? We're gonna participate with those who wanna move. You are more than welcome to participate in this portion. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have Kofi and Sankofa Dance and Drum Ensemble with our drumming and dancing.
Thank you so much. It's great to be out here again. We're going to start with Fanga because it is something that all of you know, and we want you to kind of just study a little bit of it. Belle is going to do the dance through, and eventually we're going to invite you. Our goal this year is to make you part of this, because that's what happens in the village. There are no chairs in the village. We stand around in a circle, so everybody becomes part of it. You could see the 98-year-old, 102-year-old lady and man just kind of really digging it, you know? So that is what we want to do. We want you to kind of be part of this. And Fanga is something that really empowers all of us. You know, Fanga Lafia welcomes you. Ashe simply means thank you. It's a combination of Yoruba, Wolof, and other languages put together for this occasion. So, when I call Fanga Alafia, your response will be what? Ashe, Ashe. And then it goes on and on. So, let's just start with this. Yes. Fanga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Fanga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Fanga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Fanga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Ashe, 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 Ashe. brothers and sisters, children as well as adults who are here. You know what? This is it. You got a rhythm coming to you. It's like a spirit coming to you. When you receive it, you get a healing. If you don't, it moves on to the next person. So we need to be open up. This is our roots. We need to grab them, and we need to also spread the word. Let people get into it. Like my good old friend Baba was saying. He said, if you can sing it, you get what? Play it. All right? So if you can sing it, like get it, get it. Get it, get it, get it. Go get it, get it, get it. Go get it, get it, get it. You know, it just kind of sits right up. That's how we teach, you know. We're going to go on to the next rhythm, which is about water. And we're going to still kind of, you might need them. We're going to go through a very improvised kind of form of our Agbaja. We talk about water as we sit here in the United States of America, 2018, getting into 19. Guess what? People are dying of water. Like my brother died of water. How can we die of water or lack of water in the United States of America? You know what I mean? How can we be deceived? So these are things that we need to not take it easy. We waste stuff. And you know what? The celebration of Kwanzaa and all the principles brings us back to just honoring, you know, the earth that we have been given. And also honoring people around us and ourselves. Don't forget yourself, because you could be drained, you know. So we want to come up with this Agbaja rhythm, which tells a story from Egypt, this tribe, the Ewe people, you know, and they actually sort of got kicked out like life does when they moved from where they were. They traveled and tried to find a place, and the guy, what was driving them? The driving force was where to get water, because that was the only thing. They never want to stay in a place where there was no water. So Agbaja, can we try that? Agbaja.
Agbaja.
Agbaja, hey, Agbaja, hey, Agbaja, oh. Agbaja, hey, Agbaja, hey, Agbaja, oh. Agbaja. hear this call deep in the forest, in the rainforest, you know somebody is in need. Yo, 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 yo. Can we try that? Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. Awesome. Thank you.
They get a break?
Yes, they do. Thank you. Give them a hand.
We can do better than that. That was amazing. Let's give them a hand. Awesome job. Awesome job. It takes a lot of courage to get up, and you guys were so great. So great. You guys, I tell my kids in my class, when they do something really great, I tell them to kiss their brain. When you kiss your brain, you're just telling your brain things, good looking out. Because you know, sometimes when you get older, trust me, your brain don't like to cooperate sometimes. Anybody over an age knows what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's just continue. First of all, before I move on further, I want to first of all let you know that the Step Up Girls have some vending going on in the back over there. Hi, Step Up Girls. How are ya? Yeah, great. They look so excited over there. They're just full of energy and vim and vigor. Look at them, just smiling, leaning on the window. Don't fall out. Be careful. They have some body scrubs over there. They have some bags, some T-shirts, and they're handcrafted. These young ladies, they made these things. So. Awesome! Let's give her a hand for buying a bag. Alrighty. I have not, but I'm gonna go over there and check it out. And I would encourage you all to go there and check it out also. In addition, also in the back, there are some free books. Now, let me ask you, does the word free make anybody else in here happy other than me? I guess I'm the only one. I'm trying again. Free. No good? Free 99. I put a 99 on it, and now see hands go up. I don't know, you guys got excited. Well, the Martin Luther King Libraries has some free books also in the back. So I encourage you to go back there and browse through. Reading is fundamental, okay? And we encourage you just to go get some free books. Well, we're gonna keep going. Is everybody having a great time so far? You're awfully quiet. I mean, for a celebration, this is about to be one of the quietest celebrations. Are y'all having a good time? Now, see, I come from a really strong church environment. I should make y'all all jump up, but I won't do it because some of y'all looking at me like, nope, we're not jumping up anywhere. But it's all good. We're gonna actually move on to another great part of this here celebration. In the Hebrew Testament, in the 10 Commandments, it says to honor your mother and your father. And a lot of times we sometimes take our elders for granted, you know? And I encourage you that as your parents or your grandparents get older, you know, to look after them. And not just that, but glean on their wisdom. And at this time, I'd like to have Ms. Heather, Ms. Barbara, please come at this time for the honoring of our elders.
Okay, before we get into honoring our elders, I just want to recognize, because I see him in the back, I see them in the back, our county legislator, our county executive first, George Latimer. George always shows up. Thank you. And the chairman of the Board of Legislators, the Honorable Benjamin Boykin. Now, everybody knows how important you are, because that's why they're here, for you. Okay. So at this point, we're honoring elders, which we do every year. But if you notice in the program, we say we're honoring our elder, because this year we chose one person who has done so much for Kwanzaa and the community. And I'll have Barbara say something about this person.
Well, I'll start with 20 years ago when our church, the Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation, started celebrating Kwanzaa, and Dr. Mary Lane Cobb and Maybe Bice were the first ones to do it at our church. However, then, Petra Toms took over and did the Kwanzaa at our church, and then had the wonderful idea to bring the Kwanzaa here. And she was in charge of it at our church, and all the time that we've been here, which Heather will talk about. And I'm so pleased to see some members of our church are here because our church started it and Petra took it over and brought it to the Slater Center.
Yes, let's have a hand for Petra. So for 15 years, we've been doing Kwanzaa here, and every year, Petra has been leading us. And last year, she passed the baton on to us. Did we do a good job, Petra? Okay, we were well taught, so we followed the script, and we did it. And so with this, we are saying, Petra, we honor you, we're calling you up to the podium, and we're bringing Bernie, because beside a great lady, sometimes there's a great man. And Bernie's one, and where's Ben? Is Ben still here? Come Ben, join your mama here at the podium too. Because sometimes there's a great son also. So from us to you, Petra has gone on to bigger and better things. Are you reverend now? She's on the path to becoming reverend, but I'm putting it in and calling her reverend today. Petra Toms.
Heather, Barbara, thank you so much. And I'm just so thrilled to see so many people in our community coming out and expecting Kwanzaa's gonna be here. Because this is who we are. And that is the greatest gift of all, your presence, your being here to celebrate our heritage, to know that we are all one, Umoja. We are all one human family. So great to see all of you. Thank you again for that. I'm taken aback, and I am grateful. I'm grateful for all the years, Heather, of working with you and working with Barbara, and for all of our collaborators. The Slater Center, the Housing Authority, the Youth Bureau, the library, and of course, Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation. And thank you all for coming.
And I just want to say, the proof of how successful Petra made this celebration is that it continues even after she moves on.
I also want to say thank you to my family for always supporting everything that I'm involved in, because you can't do it by yourself. Our family community and our broader community, that's what keeps us going. So hug those who you love, and hug those who you're not sure about loving too, okay? Because we gotta keep the community going. Thank you so much.
Let's give Miss Petra one more round of applause, shall we? I met this lovely last year when I was asked to do this celebration, and it has been an honor knowing you. And congratulations. At this time, we're going to have a song selection by Diane Hadley, and following her, we'll also have a spoken word by Colleen Ford, in that order.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is a wonderful, absolute pleasure to be here today to see all our family together. So we're going to do a family song together today. And
And I know that everybody knows it. I'm going to lead it, and I want you to join right in and help me sing this song. It's Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya. Come by here, Lord, come by here. Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, oh Lord, Kumbaya. Are you ready? Kumbaya, my Lord. Come on, Kumbaya. Everybody. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Oh Lord. Kumbaya. Someone's crying, my Lord. Kumbaya. Come on. Someone's crying, my Lord. Kumbaya. Someone's crying, my Lord. Kumbaya. Oh Lord. Kumbaya. Someone's praying, Lord, Kumbaya. Someone's praying, Lord, Kumbaya. Someone's praying, my Lord, Kumbaya. Oh Lord, Kumbaya. Come by here, Lord, Kumbaya. Come by here, my Lord, Kumbaya. Come by here, my Lord, Kumbaya. Kumbaya. Someone needs you, Lord. Kumbaya. Someone needs you, Lord. Kumbaya. Someone needs you, Lord. Kumbaya. Oh Lord. Kumbaya. Big finish. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Oh Lord. Kumbaya.
Good afternoon. I'm taking you all in because I'm absorbing you, because there's no such thing as a passive observer. To observe means to participate and to interrelate. And this is something that we have to get back to in awareness and understanding. That when we look out at something, when we see an event, we are participating in that event. No such thing as a passive observer. And we have to remove that from our consciousness so we can get back into the real spiritual realm of our ancestors, so that we really can become one and understand that. I implore the Supreme with utmost reverence, humility, and esteem to guide my tongue to say something superb, which is essentially this: love is a verb. And without an aptitude, inclination, or desire, it wouldn't matter were I to ignite a fire, you probably wouldn't aspire to embrace this light. In fact, and it's unfortunate, you might opine to the opposite out of fear of not knowing. Never been taught to trust and let go, we cling to what we know and shun the mystery. While an omnipotent power abounds us, like fish in the water, it surrounds us, yet before our reason it confounds us. Hence, humility is of utmost utility to help ground us. For when we put ourselves down, we get raised up. There's no room for the wine of wisdom in an already filled cup, yet self-negation in a narcissistic society is like being in prison trying to practice piety. You get abused. They take kindness for weakness. Don't associate strength with meekness. Assume you are dumb if you speak less. All faults of perception, values that need correction, while love seeks, desires perfection. Can we see that? Can we be that? To say one, see one, and be one requires that we simultaneously be none. A tree heavy laden with fruit bends low. Kings and queens are the ultimate servants, or did we not know? Well, of course we did. Just another truth that's been hid beneath umpteen layers of ego. There is but one nature, not two. And the nature we most desperately need to subdue so that the divine energy can accrue and we begin to see each other anew is ourselves. For when we rehearse the worst, we are incurring a curse of negative energy throughout the universe, and this must stop. We are ambassadors, agents of the divine, currently encased in humankind, and I am only here to remind my people that love is the essence of what we are made, and all of the laws that prohibit or forbade had to do with violations of a code that removed us from a sacred abode to which we must return. And in order to avoid the purifying fires that burn, all that is required is that we learn to love. Wakanda forever. So, it's simple. It's one nature, not two. When we look out, when we look in, it's one nature. And we are able to absorb and learn and hear and listen from nature, inside and out, till we become one. We resonate, we vibrate, we're on frequency. We need to regain that harmony. And we can have that love, that law, that natural peace, that natural awe, that natural wonder. Sankofa. Black history is world history. It is that which goes furthest back and is the deepest, steeped in mystery. And the deeper we search and sift, the greater the gift and the glory, and the more meanings we are likely to glean from an allegory. For scholarship and worship were a way of life. Science and religion were as husband and wife. Philosophy, psychology, music, and art were a dynamic, medicinal, and integral part whose role and goal were ever to impart lessons to enliven and enlighten the heart. And it is from this tradition, with your permission, I will start. Deep in the recesses of our past, our ancient ancestors had intimate and vast knowledge of the universe obtained from within. For theirs was a kingdom where everything was kin. The kingdom represented the breadth and span. The kingdom was the love that connected clan, where every living thing was considered fam. Between mother and father was the great I am. There was nothing not considered ours. The planet was the place for the development of powers, natural capacities inherent in all, spiritual faculties, a rating we call. The sooner we perceive the great in the small, can we begin to reverse the effects of the fall, for they were in harmony with celestial forces, aided and augmented nature's courses. Their collective intelligence has not been exceeded by. They could hear the sphere's music unimpeded. Emotional intelligence was channeled with precision. Heart, eye, and ear had clear, empathic vision. Everyone's level unique, yet inclusive. Better the ability to see the elusive. Old and young were revered and respected. The law was taught to be adhered and protected, and yet the law was as simple as profound. Love, that love may circulate and abound. The greatest difference between now and then was on their whole, their goal was to become God, women, and men. Not content or meant to be mere mortals. Theirs was a striving toward opening portals, interdimensional highways of mind, the kind our soft science is just starting to find. As the passive observer gets further disproved, we may re-enter the realms from which we've been removed. And the deeper the depth and breadth of our feeling, we may access the peace to complete our healing. This is the work of the great Sankofa. So reach, teach, till the breach is over.
Wow. I wish I could see that written so that I could take it all in. You know what I mean? Let's give them another hand. That was an awesome display. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you so much for offering your gift and your talents. That was powerful. And I mean, you really had to pay attention. It's one of those kind of things that there was so much said, and it was so, you ever get a good meal, and you don't want to swallow it all at one time because you don't want to enjoy all the flavor. So I thank you again. I want to say thank you and welcome to Wayne Bass, who is the Commissioner of Recreation. Let's give him a hand. Matt Carter, who is the Executive Director of the White Plains Housing Authority. Oh, he just left, I'm sorry. And Frank Williams is also the Executive Director of the White Plains Youth Bureau. It's quite interesting, I must say for myself. I am a member of the community, but not a member of the community. So what does that mean? I am from Mount Vernon. I live in Mount Vernon, but I work and spend most of my time in White Plains. I am a head teacher for the Head Start program. And the Head Start program really is all about community. At the end of the day, that's who we service. We service community. And it has been my pleasure for 12 years to service the community of White Plains. So here I am serving yet again, right? And it's my pleasure. Well, at this time, as you can see, we have some percussion set up. That's nice. Some drums. So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you another drumming and dancing portion of this celebration, Tribal Footprints, Roots and Rhythm Drummers, Fusion Dancers, White Plains Youth Bureau. Let's give them a round of applause. have been working with children for 21 years. That's a long time. And some of y'all are looking at me like, oh, I thought you were 21 years. Maybe it's maybe. I don't know. I'll just thank my ancestors. Yes, the melanin. Love you. But I've been working with children for 21 years. And it always brings me pleasure when I see them doing the thing that comes in naturally to them. It's innate to move. It's innate for them to move their bodies because it's hard for them to sit. So let's give them a hand. They did an awesome job just now. At this time, we're going to have another musical selection on the sax by Mr. Art Bennett. Flute, all right, we'll take a flute. We thought it was a sax. Mr. Bennett, I don't know what they tell me. They tell me it's an instrument of some musical sort. How about that? He said it was a flute. He would like some percussions, please, to assist him. Is that all right? Totally. You got it.
Greetings. It's somewhat unexpected, actually. Last year when I came, I was asked by a dear friend of mine I've known for 3 or 4 decades to have my flute, and I didn't bring it. So this time I thought I would bring my flute. I didn't know I was going to be on the bill. I was just going to play with the drummer. So I guess I'll take this opportunity to do so now.
They all unlock the door.
I appreciate that so much. I appreciate it. This is definitely a prompt. This is the root of the music. The vibration and the atmosphere, it just sets the tone. No, nothing was predicted other than the fact that we're going to try to get together and to release this spiritual energy, creative energy that we have. Thank you.